Hello my friend, welcome back to my 4-star school YouTube channel. In today's lesson, we are continue working on this job finder application using Flutter. We have finished the homepage for this job application in our last lesson. So in today's lesson, we are continue working on the detail job page and search job page. I will put the link for previous tutorial in the description below. Also, if you are new to my channel, feel free to reach out to my channel page. In there, you'll find many other Flutter UI tutorial projects. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. First, we need to find this job card because we're going to implement the button shape when user click this job card. So let's back to a Visual Studio Code. I think we can wrap a gesture detector for this job item. Also, this job item is inside this job list. Okay, so in here I'm going to wrap widget. I'm going to call it gesture detector, and inside this gesture detector we have our own tab attribute, so we're going to implement our button sheet here, and there is a method which called show button shape model button sheet. This method it took this context and the builder which require a function, so it also will receive the context. So in here I'm going to pass a job detail which I'm going to implement later. So I'm going to pass this job object inside this. So and let's implement this job detail. So first I'm going to create another file. I just call it job detail dot, and we implement our job detail here. For this job detail, it should be a stateless widget, and I call it job detail. It will receive a job object, so I'm going to declare an attribute. I just call it job, and then import library for this job. Also for our material file, and going to implement it is a constructor going to receive this job object, right, for this child, and we can just place a very simple text here, just call it job detail, right, and we can save it. In here in our job list, going to import this should be job detail. Okay, import library, and we save. We can test it. So we're going to click this job card. You will see we have this button shaped pop-up, right? Then we're going to implement our own like a button shape. So first we're going to customize it. In here I'm going to add some attribute here. So first I'm going to change the background for this show model button shape, and also set it is a scroll controlled to true, because I want to customize it. Let's change the background color, and I'm going to use color dot transparent, and also set this is a scroll controlled. I'm going to set to true. Then we can customize our job detail, right? So we're going to save it, and we can close this job detail. Sorry, it's job list, and we're going to implement our job detail. So inside this job detail, first we're going to set our height of these. Going to set 550. Right. And also I will give some margin and padding. So first, for the padding for this container, I'm going to set to edge inset.or, give it 25. And also for the decoration, I'm going to use box decoration. I'm going to change the color, should be white. And also the border radius, because we have a rounded corner, so I'm going to use a border radius the only, and only change top left and top right. So for the top left, I'm going to use radius dot circular, give it 30, and also for top right, use radius dot circular, give 30 as well. We can save for now. You may notice we have set our border radius for this container, but it didn't change, right? I think the reason because you need to close this one and open it again. So I'm going to close it by tap this background, right? We close it and we reopen again. You actually show our border radius and also have our custom height, right? And we can start from this point. So inside this job detail, we're going to have a column widget, right? And also the description, this requirement sometimes will have more than like a 4, more than 4. So I consider to use a single scroll view, which we can scroll this entire job detail. So I'm going to replace this text widget with our single child scroll view. Single child scroll view. Inside is single child scroll view, and we have a single child, which is our column widget. For this column widget, we're going to have children attribute, right? So for these children, so for our first children will be this grade line. So we're going to use a container in this case. So we're going to have a container and change its color to colors.gray with capacity set to 0.3. And also I'm going to change the height and width for this container. So for width, just 60 is enough. And hit save. And we have this gray line shown here. And then I'm going to give some space between this grid line and our company. So I'm going to give a size box and going to set to 30, right? For our next one, this one, I'm going to consider using a row widget. Let's create our first row widget, giving a children attribute. But first, remember we have this across alignment. So we're going to set cross alignment for this container to start using this cross alignment start for our children in our first row. And I consider we have a first row and the second row, and also this entire row going to set this main axis alignment to space between. So I'm going to use main axis alignment, space between. Right, for our first children should be another row and also another row, right? We can implement the first children. Going to have a container for our icon and a text for our company. Right, between them we're going to use a size box, a little bit gap between those two. For the size box, I'm going to just give a weight just 10 is enough. And for our container, it should be our icon. So let's create the height, probably 40, and the width also 40. I have a padding using this edge_inset.org set to A. And also we have a decoration, use box decoration. Right? Inside this box decoration, we have a border radius. We're going to set to probably 10 is enough. And then we have a color, which is a very light color. I'm going to use colors gray with capacity. I'm going to set to 0.1, very light. And we have this child, going to use the image.ss, right? Going to access to our image. But here, since we have our job, this object, we can access to our job logo URL, right? So we can paste it here, and because we already set the height and width, so we don't need to set the height width for this image. For our text, we're going to use job.company, and we're going to style it a little bit. So we change its font size. I think we can make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to use style font size set to 16. Okay, let's save. Now it shows. I think it's good. Then we're going to implement the second row. So for our second row, it should be a 2 icon. So going to implement it is a children attribute. So for our first icon, I'm going to check if it is a mark, right? We have this icon. Going to use a material icons, but first we're going to check if this is marked. I'm going to return icons bookmark, right? Otherwise, I'm going to return icons bookmark outlined on it icons. Okay, and also for the color, I'm going to check again. Going to implement this color. Going to check job is marked. If it's marked, I'm going to use our primary color of context. Primary color. Otherwise, I just use a default color, which is black. Sorry, the default color is white. I'm going to change it to black. Okay, so this is our first icon, which is this bookmark, and then we're going to have our second icon. Icon start more horizon outlined. Let's save. Okay, I think that's good. And then we're going to implement this job title, location, and this job type. So we're going to find this row. We're going to declare another row under this one. Okay, I think just a normal text widget, right? But we're going to have the space. We're going to use size box. I'm giving height to 20. And then we have a text widget, which we can use job title. And we're going to style it. We're going to have this text style. For the text style, we're going to change its font size to 26 and also the font weight to bold. Okay, let's save. Okay, I think it's good. And after that, we have another gap between the job title and our location. So I'm going to have another size box. We're going to have another height, probably still 20. Let's check. And maybe a little bit less. So I think 50 is enough. Okay, and then we have another row. So we're going to set this main axis alignment to space between, right? And we have a children attribute. Remember, we have these icon text comment widget, so we can use that. I just use icon text, right? And put our icon, which is icons location on outlined it, right? And for the text, just the job dot location, and we have another text, icon text. Icon is icons dot axis time outlined it, right? And for this text should be job dot time. Okay, let's save, and you're able to see our location and job type. Okay, so after that we're going to have another gap, so I'm going to use a size box again, probably give a 30, and we have another text, so it's very simple text, just have this requirement. We're going to change the style using the text style. We're going to change it the font weight to bold. Okay, let's save. And back to our job model, you see we have this description list. So I'm going to use this description list in here. So let's back to our job detail. So after this text, so I'm going to give another space. So set height to 10, and then I'm going to use the job require. But first, it's a list, and also we're going to use toList function, but we're inside this colon, right? So we're going to use this spread operator to access to our job require dot map, right? Going to return the list to map. Outside the map, we're going to use this toList, right? So we're going to return, we're going to, let's see, we're going to return something here. So let's make it container. Right, inside this container we have the margin. So I'm going to set to edit incest symmetric. Going to use a vertical, set to 5, right? And also inside this we have another row, have this black door, and also these text. So I'm going to use the child, going to use another row widget. For this row widget, we're going to set this cross alignment, going to use a cross alignment or start, and then we have the children attribute. So inside the children, we have a container, which is a black door, and set to margin. Use edge incest door only topped, set to 10, and also we have a height just 5, and width also just 5. We have a decoration, we use box decoration. Inside this box decoration we have a shape, going to use box shape, a circle, and also color, it should be colors dot black. Alright, so then we have a size box. I'm going to give a little bit gap between those two, would be just 10. And last one, I'm going to give a constraint box. So if the text more than one line, it will automatically move to the next line. So here I'm going to use a constraint box. So we have this constraint attribute. We're going to use box constraint. Going to set the max width to probably 300 is enough. Okay, and inside this we have another attribute which is child, so going to use the text here. Right, so we can just place our element which is the job required, right, and also style it. So going to use text style. Inside this text style, I'm going to change the word spacing, so to 2.5, and also change the height to 1.5. Okay, so let's save, and you're able to see those job description. Okay, very similar, huh? And last one is this job apply button. So I'm going to place the container, use another container here. Inside this container, we're going to set the margin. Going to use edge inset star symmetric. Set the vertical to 25, and also we have a height probably 45, because we're going to set our child to this elevated button. So we're going to give height and width. So for the width, I'm going to use double the max infinity. So we have arrow here because we didn't implement this on press the method attribute, and also this child. So for the child, just very simple text widget, which is apply now. And for this style, so I'm going to use I think it's called elevated button dot style from. So I'm going to change elevation to 0, and also our primary color. So for the primary color, going to use theme of context dot primary color, right? And then the shape. So we're going to set a border radius. So we're going to use rounded rectangle border. Inside this one, we have a border radius. We can use border radius dot circular border radius circular, and going to set 20. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's save. Okay, very similar, huh? So we can close it and open it. Okay, I think I forgot something. So you notice we have this first grid line should be center, right? So we're going to wrap all of those into another column. So I think we need to wrap the widget from this logo and until the button. So the button here, okay, going to wrap to another column widget. So we're going to have another children. Right. Inside this one, we're going to change it is cross alignment. I think just cross the alignment. We can copy here and paste it here, and also we remove the cross alignment to our column under single chart square view. So this column by default will have across the alignment to center, right? So this grid line will be center, and for the rest of the widget, it will align from the start. So let's save. Now we achieve the same result shown here, right? We can close it and open again and close it, and we can text for our Airbnb, right? So in here we marked this job, so you will show this color, right? Same for the LinkedIn, right? Yeah, I think it works for all the company. Okay, I think we finished this job detail part, which is this custom button shape. So you can learn how to make your own custom button shape from this tutorial and implement it in your own project. Okay, so for next one, I'm going to implement this job search page. Okay, let's back to our Visual Studio Code. Under the search folder, we're going to create our search.tar and also create a folder, going to put our widgets. So for this search.tar, we're going to create a stateless widget. I'm going to call it search page and remove the constructor, and also import library. And here just place very simple text, but I need to change this to scaffold. Okay, which is body, and this should be a center, have a child. So just very simple text. I just call it search page, right? So we're going to save it, and we are going to find this search button, which can navigate us to the search page. So I think it should be inside this search card, right? In this search card, we're going to wrap this button. Where is it? I think it's here, this container. I'm going to wrap the gesture detector. We're going to implement the untapped method, so we can using this navigator of context push. So inside this push method, we can use a material page route. Right, for this material page route, we're going to receive a context. Going to receive a context, and we're going to return our search page. Okay, but we need to import a library. Let's save, and we can test it. We click this search button, and we'll be navigate to the search page. So we can start from this point. So first we have the same background. This one is white and this one is gray. We're going to use a stock widget again. So first, because we have this search bar, right? Search input. So first I'm going to set the resize to avoid button in, set to force, and then we're going to replace this center with our stock widget, and we have children here. I'm going to have a row, so row widgets. So we have a children. We have two expanded widget, like what we did, expanded. So for our first expanded, it will be flex 2, and child with just normal container. Right, for our second expanded, it will be flex just 1, and we have the same container as our child, but we're going to change the color for this container. Should be colors.gray. With capacity, going to set to 0.3. Okay, let's save. We have a send effect, right? And then back to our home page. Okay, I think it should be just 0.1. And we can click it again, and this time much better. So, and then we're going to have a column widget. Alright, so let's put our column widget under this row. So going to use a column widget. Inside this column, we have a children attribute. So first, we're going to change the cross alignment to start, and then we can implement our search app bar. Alright, and we're going to create our search app bar first. And let's back to Visual Studio Code, and under this widget folder, we're going to create a search app bar file, and it should be a stateless widget. Just call it search app bar, right? And remove the constructor and import the library. So, and I can just place a text here. It should be a search app bar. And I'm going to import library here as well. Okay, let's save. You're able to see our text showing here. Okay, I think I forgot to save this. Yeah, we see here, and we can start from this point. So first, going to keep the padding. So for the padding, I'm going to use edge inset only, and change the top. So the top, I'm going to get the status, the height of the status bar. So I'm going to use the median query of context dot padding dot top, and for our left and right, just 25 is enough. Okay, let's save. And then I'm going to use a row widget. So this is our first row, and this will be our second row, and our second row is another row widget. So let's change this to row widget, and we're going to change this main axis alignment to start space between. So we're going to separate those two. So for our first one, should be a container with our back button. So we're going to set the padding using this edge inset.org. Just use 5 is enough. And then we have decoration, box decoration. So for the box decoration, we're going to change the color, theme of context dot primary color, right? And then for the shape, it should be a box shape circle. And then we have a child, so it should be an icon. We just use a material icon, which is arrow back. I'm going to change the color, so should be colors Y, and we can save for now. Let's see. We are able to see our icon, right? But when I click this icon, it should be back to our home page. So I'm going to wrap this container with our gesture detector. Gesture detector. I'm going to implement this on tap method. I'm going to use a navigator of context pop. Okay, let's save. Now when I click this button, we should be able to back to our home page. Let's go back. Yes. Okay, so we're going to implement our second row, which is those two icons. So let's back to our file. So I'm going to find this gesture detector. So after it, we're going to create our another row widget. So we implement it is child. For our first child, it's a container. We have our notification color, so notification icon. So it should be inside this child widget. So we have a stack. Going to use stack, and first change the margin. Edge inset dot only. Give a top 30 and right just 10, and then we use this transform use matrix for the rotate z. I'm going to set 100, and for this stack widget, I'm going to have a icon as it is first child. So icons notifications. I'll light it, and also change the size 30, and also the color should be gray. So okay, let's save, and we have a position widget. Going to change this top to 0 and right 0 as well. And for it is child, I'm going to use another container. Should be positioned. Okay, so for this container, we have padding. Going to use edge insets.org, set to 4, and also we have decoration using box decoration. Going to change this color with color red, and also change its shape to box shape circle. Right? Okay, let's save. We'll be able to see our notification icon, and then so that's fine. After this container, we have a size box. Going to keep the width set to 20, and then going to set our icon using icons dot more horizontal. Outlined it. Right, so let's save. Okay, I think now it's much similar like this prototype. So we can start to implement our next one, which is the searched input. Let's create another file inside this widget. I just call it search input.tar. So it should be a stateless widget, and called search input. Okay, import the library. I remove the constructor for now. I'm going to give a random text, call it search input, and we're going to import it here. Let's save. Yeah, we can start from this point. So for this one, it should be a row widget. The left row is this text input, and right it should be just an icon. So let's change it. So first we're going to give it a margin. So we're going to use edge inset.org, change it to 25, and then we can replace this text widget with our row widget. Going to use children. So for our first should be inside is expanded, and then we have a size box because I'm going to give some width, and probably 10 is enough. And the last one should be a container, contain our icon, right? So inside is expanded widget, we're going to have a child should be expanded. We have a child, so it should be a text field. So inside this text field, we're going to implement some attribute. So first is this cursor color. I'm going to change to gray, and then going to implement it is decoration. Here I'm going to use input decoration. So inside this input decoration, I'm going to change it is fill color to white, and then this field set to true. Right, this should be white, and set to true. And also the border, so we're using this border outline. Okay, going to change it is border radius, probably 30. And also, because we don't have any border here, so I'm going to set this border size to non-border size dot none. Okay, this is for our border, and then we have a hint text. So for the hint text, I'm going to just write it search, right? And then we have style. Make it smaller. So going to use this text style. Change its color. Color stuff gray, and also font size to 18. And then we have this content padding using inch, because I'm going to set to 0. Right? And the final is this prefix icon with a container. We contain our search icon here. So let's put the padding first. So using this hinsets.org set to 15, and then we have a child using image.ss. Right. Should be ss in icons dot search peg. Also change the weight to 20. So let's save. It's no find our icons. Sorry, it should be a mistake. Search. Now you are able to see we have this search input, similar like this, and we can click. The keyboard will pop up, right? So let's close it. The reason I set this content padding, so if I comment out, you see default we have a common content padding, property A. So here I don't want any content padding, so I just set to 0, right? And next is for our icon. So let's implement this container. So I'm going to set the height 50 and width 50 as well. And then going to set the padding using hinsets.org set to 13, and also decoration, box decoration. Going to use this, which is our essence color. And then is these border radius. So for the border radius, using circular set to 20. Okay, and for it is trial, which is our icon. Going to use image ss dot const filter dot peg. Okay, let's save. Yeah, and probably a mod border. Okay, probably 25 is enough. Okay, that's good. So next we're going to implement this one, which is the search option. So here I'm going to use a map to store those options. So when I click, I'm going to set to true because we are allowed to select multiple options. Alright, so let's create a file. I just call it search option .dar, and it should be a state for widget. Alright, so I'm going to call it search option and remove the constructor for now. And also we need to import library. So here just place very simple text, search option. Let's save, and then we're going to import this one in our search.dar. It should be search option. Okay, let's save, and you're able to see our text showing here. And you can start from this point. So first I'm going to declare a map for those options. So let's create a map. Going to call it option map, right? So for the key should be string and the value as a boolean value. And for our first one is development, going to set to true because default this development is select. And then we have business set to false, and also this data set to false, and design set to false, and last one operation set to false. Okay, we can save it, and then we're going to get the key of this map. So we're going to create the keys equals option map dot keys to list. Right, we're going to convert those keys to a list. Okay, and we can implement it now. So I'm going to use a list view. So here inside this container, first, if we're going to use a list view inside container, we must give it a height, right? Remember, so give a height, probably 25 is enough. For it is children, I'm going to use this view dot separator. I'm going to implement those required attribute one by one. So for it is item count, I just use this option map dot length. For this separator, very easy, just use size box. And give width just 10. So the last one is this item builder. So first I'm going to change the scroll direction for this list view. So I'm going to use horizontal, and then for the padding I'm going to use edge inset dot symmetric. For the horizontal, set to 25, and last we're going to implement this item builder. Right? So we're going to receive the context and also the index, and we're going to return. So first I will wrap everything inside this gesture detector, because we're going to change the state when we click the button. So for this on-tapped attribute, I'm going to change the state here. So I'm going to call our setState method. So inside this one, I'm going to declare the result if equals this option map and keys. And okay, we can access the index. We can check if it equals true, right? Otherwise, I'm going to set to false. Okay. If it equals true, I'm going to return to the false. If it equals false, I'm going to change it to true. So I'm going to change this one to this. Okay, make a opposite, right? Okay, and then we can implement a child. So for it is child, I'm going to use a container. So inside this container, first set the padding. So using edge inset star symmetric, vertical set to 5, and also horizontal set to 10. Okay, and then is the decoration. Going to use the box decoration. So you're going to check we have this background and also this border. So we're going to check this option map, the key. If it equals true, we're going to render the primary color. So we're going to, for this color, we're going to check if this one first, it should not be none, right? And also it should be true. So we're going to render something. I'm going to ask if it equals true. I'm going to return this a primary color for it is background. Otherwise, just a white color. Okay, this is for color, and also we're going to set the border radius. So we're going to set border radius circular. Just I think 20 is enough. Okay, save, and you're able to see those. Right, see, we can click. Okay, and then we're going to implement it is a child. So for it is child, I'm going to use a row. As you see, it should be a row. We have a text and icon on the right. So I'm going to use a row widget, and we implement it is a children attribute, right? So first, it should be a text, which is a key index, and then we style it. So it should be inside this text widget. Going to implement a style using text style. So we're going to change it is font size to 12, and also the color. I'm going to ask this again. Alright, so you can just copy send log here. Okay, and we're going to change. So if it equals, I'm going to change color to a white. So here, going to change colors.y. Otherwise, just a black color, but it's the same logic. Right? And then next, we're going to use an if statement. So we're going to check if it select. We're going to display this close icon. So we're going to ask if it equals true, right? If it equals true, I'm going to render another. I'm going to use a row because I'm going to give some space between it. So I use size box first, and it should be just 10, width for 10, and also the icon, material icon. We can use this close. I'm going to change its size to 15, and also color to colors.y. Let's save. Now we'll be able to see those options. You see when I click, and we can unselect those options. We can also implement the border color. So let's find this decoration. Okay, inside this decoration, we have a border. We're going to use border or going to change its color to our primary color. Okay, let's save. You will be able to see our border now. Okay, maybe it's too dark. I will capacity set 0.3. Save again. Okay, now it's better. Probably 50% is enough. Okay, that's good. Now, so next we're going to implement this search card. For this search list, it should be pretty easy because we already implement this search card in our first tutorial. So we're going to reuse it. And let's create our search list .dat file, and it should be a stateless widget. Going to call it search list. Remove the constructor, import the library. Here I just return a simple text, search list. Right, let's save, and then I'm going to import here search list. Right. Let's save, and you will able to see our text shown here. And we're going to start from this point. So first I'm going to get our job list from our static method. So first I'm going to import a library so you can access to this generate job static method. I'm going to use it here. So first keep the container and margin. I'm going to use edge index only keep the top margin. So change top to 25, and for it is child, I'm going to use a list view. So let's replace it to a list view. Dot separate it, and I'm going to implement those required attribute one by one. So first is this item count should be length of our job list, and for this item a separated builder, I'm going to replace a size box. Size box should be 20, and last one is this item builder. So before we implement this item builder, we're going to keep the padding for our list view. So using the only, and only give left right 25, right 25, and bottom 25. And then we're going to implement this item builder. Going to replace a job item. Remember we already job item. We already implement this job item, right? So let's import library. For this job item, we need to pass our job object here. And also remember when you move your mouse here in this job item, we have set this name parameter, which is this show time. By default is false, so by default it didn't show this time, so I'm going to change it to true. So this show time I set to true. Okay, let's save. Okay, we are missing something. Should be here. Let's save. Okay, I think I encountered error. Our vertical viewpoint was given unbounded height. So let's back to our search page. I'm going to wrap the expanded widget here. Expanded widget. So let's save again. And this time you'll see our job card. The reason because this is a column widget. So we're going to give it the search list a height, so which is the rest of the space. Okay, so it's much similar like the prototype here, and we can scroll down, right? And also we can click those options, search option, and we can click this search, and we have this keyboard pop-up. You can go back and click this job card. We have this bottom sheet pop-up. Okay, I think that's all for today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial until the end. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, and open a notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. I will see you in next video.